Welcome to Silverstone. Welcome to the home of MotoGP. I'm absolutely delighted to say Stuart Pringle, Managing Director of Silverstone. How are you? Welcome to Off Track.
Thank you, Dave. I'm very well, and thank you for the chance to have a chat.
You're very welcome. We have the home of MotoGP just outside. We have the wing just over the back in the new hotel that we've got at Silverstone. Things are looking very different every time we come to Silverstone now. Can you tell us a little bit about the infrastructure and how things are improving at the circuit?
Well, it's kind of you to notice. But yes, there has been quite a lot of change here in the recent past. It's been quite deliberate. We've been very focused as a management team on trying to turn Silverstone from a one Sunday in July business into a business that has the ability to trade and earn its living 52 weeks a year. The winters in this part of the world are quite long and not conducive to riding motorcycles or indeed testing cars. So actually we need to build a business through the winter that is less track based. So that has involved using the wing opposite as a conference and exhibition business, and we struggled to get traction with that. But the opening of this hotel last September 2022, joined to the wing via a footbridge, has really transformed our fortunes. And we've got our space is very much in demand. It's the biggest conference and exhibition space between London and Birmingham. This is not what people want to listen to on a bike podcast, for goodness sake. But it's really important to Silverstone because it actually does elongate our season. It takes place when we are not busy on track. We're very, very busy on track through the spring, summer and autumn months. And absolutely, I love the peaks that are MotoGP, our festival, which was our formerly known as the Classic, and Formula One, of course, which is a extraordinarily high peak for our business. But actually, having a steady state business, be it track days, bike track days like we've got today, which is a good bit of timing to see two wheels on track, plus car track days, car testing, development. All of this stuff is really important. It's a mosaic that builds up to be a nice big picture that works for Silverstone.
We're here to talk about MotoGP. You kindly invited us down to have a chat about the weekend coming up in the next, 3 weeks away, I think, from MotoGP now. And I'm sure that at the moment it's starting. The sleepless nights are starting to appear as the series comes closer. How much pride does it give you to hold MotoGP at Silverstone?
We're very proud of being the home of international motorsport in the UK. Silverstone is now clearly a head above all of the other circuits in the UK. I don't say that in any sort of disparaging way for the others. I love all the other circuits in the UK. Everybody has their place, but in terms of the safety standards to get a grade 1 FIA or a grade A FIM license, only Silverstone has the real estate to allow that to take place. Only Silverstone has the buildings and the facilities that are required of an international meeting. And it's hugely important to the UK motorsport, sports scene in general, motorsport industry in particular. Whilst we're not so big in bikes from an industry point of view in this country, certainly with 7 out of 10 Formula One teams based here in the United Kingdom, it's hugely important that we retain a Formula One British Grand Prix. And because it is powering a load of jobs. There's 40,000 jobs in the high-performance motorsport engineering supply chain. So we're an important regional player from an employment and economic impact perspective. So yeah, it's a cause of great pride. I'd like to have more World Championships, be those on 2 wheels and 4, but actually there aren't very many circuits in the world that host both MotoGP and Formula One. We're in a pretty unique group with that.
There's no question. To host MotoGP and Formula One, it is credit to the facility and to where it is as well. And looking at the wing as well, MotoGP this year are back in the wing after a hiatus down in the national paddock.
Well, it was a fairly lengthy residence really went down there, wasn't it? The reason we brought it back here is that we recognise we need to give MotoGP a bit of a push. Since Valentino Rossi retired, some of the profile and the interest has dropped, waned. We need to really redouble our efforts to try and build up the interest. It's a great shame because motorcycle racing is inherently exciting. I think of it as a source of deep irony that the thing that's powering Formula One at the moment is Netflix Drive to Survive. And some of the controversy about that otherwise excellent documentary series has been, have they edited up things to help tell stories or promote stories or enhance stories? The one thing you don't need to do in motorcycle racing is make it any more exciting. It's like that just, off the bat. It's incredibly exciting. So, we've got to try and get more people to come here. And I think one of the things, I think we weren't presenting ourselves as well as we could have done. We weren't coming down here because actually the wing is a lot more expensive to operate from. It's a huge building. But in coming here, I think we give ourselves the best chance of showing the world that this is a world championship operating from world-class facilities. There are certain practicalities, like we're very proud of the fact that the wing generates all of its own power. It's got 865 kilowatts of solar generation on the roof, and that's capable. So we think we can run all the hospitality bits. We can run very nearly all of the paddock on something as big as MotoGP from that amount of power as well. It's not all. We have to use our mains connection, which is 100% sustainable energy as well. Whilst we're on that theme, and where we use generators, we put HVO, which is 90% less polluting than normal diesel. So we're very committed to the sustainability story as well, because we think that's important for our business, our brand, and the championships that we work with, like MotoGP and Formula One. But if we're going to show Silverstone off with its world-class facilities, we may as well use them, and that helps enhance MotoGP's credentials as well.
From a fan's point of view, you're a motorcycle man as well. You enjoy the sport as much as I do, and you've been to various rounds over the years. You're at Le Mans MotoGP recently as well. What's coming into Silverstone this year from a fan perspective? What's going to attract the fans through the gates this year?
People should definitely come this year, no question. Let us not assume that everybody understands that Silverstone serves up very good MotoGP racing. It is a fast-flowing track, and being a high-speed circuit, it presents numerous opportunities per lap for excellent slipstreaming, plenty of corners to dive into, and typically the lead will change several times on a lap. I think we've had 4 tenth of a second finishes since we've had MotoGP. I mean, the racing is close, so that's exciting to begin with. We've also made some real steps forward this year in helping people see that racing better. It's a very long lap, and there's plenty of places to stand, but we traditionally sold our tickets in a fairly standard motorsport fashion of general admission, stand on the bank, or buy a grandstand seat. Actually, we've said that everybody coming in on our standard general admission ticket can have access to a grandstand seat. You can pay more and have a premium grandstand seat, but absolutely there's no question that we have enhanced the viewing opportunities by offering a seat inclusive of the ticket price. Although if you are old school, and I am guilty of falling into that category, from time to time, you can still stand on the bank in some of the enhanced general admission areas. We've done quite a lot of work this winter where we've moved some earth around, and we've created a fantastic new viewing berm between Brooklands around to Luffield, which is actually a double-sided berm, and it gives great views over to the new post-race stage area where all our music comes on. More of that in a minute. And also we put in another big bank in at Chapel Curve, looking up through Beckett's up to Maggots, and that is arguably one of the most spectacular places to watch motorcycle racing on the calendar. Watching the flick flack, the movement, the speed, change of direction, it's simply stunning. So there's some fantastic on the bank viewing, but take advantage of these unreserved grandstands and view from different parts around the circuit. Final thing, Dave, is the evening entertainment. For the price of your standard sports ticket, or frankly less than your standard sports ticket, because going to watch a game of football is not a cheap thing to do nowadays. We have also got some fantastic entertainment. We've got 3 top bits of evening entertainment: Chase and Status on Friday evening, Kaiser Chiefs on Saturday evening, and Razorlight on Sunday evening. Top bands, all inclusive, in £110 3-day ticket which actually gets you access on Thursday to Day of Champions as well. So you can genuinely make a long weekend of it, immerse yourself in it. It's starting to develop that festival vibe, but a lot of people camping. Who doesn't love a road trip on a bike? I mean, it is surely about strapping a tent on the back and going off with a few mates and staying there. But look, if you can persuade the family to come, under 16s are half price, under 11s are free. It is very, very family friendly. There's lots of activity, manufacturer activity as well. Come and give it a go, because I challenge you to find a better weekend of accessible family fun at that price point.
How is your vision of Silverstone MotoGP forming now, from the seasons that you've had so far to the seasons that are coming up, and as long as it may continue for you? Where are you within that vision at the moment?
I think we're sort of starting to get comfortable with what we believe the offering ought to be. It's essentially as I've just described to you. I'm pretty happy with I think we've got the bands right. I think they're right for our audience. They're not cheap, those chaps, but they are appropriate, and I think if we make the commitment to be invested in that entertainment, we will be rewarded in the long term. And I think operating from this pit and paddock at this end of the circuit is the right thing for a World Championship to do. So in that respect, we're a long way along the vision. What we've got to do is get the numbers up. We can take a lot of people at Silverstone. We just had 160,000 in 8 days ago, and it was a fantastic atmosphere. It was unbelievably busy, but actually the site can cope with that number, and we got them all in and out safely and pretty efficiently. Actually, the traffic was superb at Formula One. I would love to see the numbers grow. We've sort of typically sat around 60,000 people for MotoGP, and this needs to be a 100,000 person event plus. We've got the space, the economics add up at that level for us, but also more than that, it builds the atmosphere, and it is about the weekend atmosphere. So I think the ball's in my court as a promoter. We've got to sell this better. It's not easy promoting MotoGP at the moment. The visibility is poor. Whilst BT Sport do a very good job from a production point of view, they are behind a paywall, and it follows that there's a fraction of the eyeballs that the previous broadcaster brought, which was free to air with the BBC. So that doesn't make it easy. Also, it's not widely followed by anything outside the specialist press. So we've got to work harder. We've had a nice lunch today with you and some of your colleagues in the press, but I noticed that the members of the press from Fleet Street are conspicuous by their absence. So we've got to work harder to get interest from there, perhaps do something better or different, give them a pillion ride or whatever we do.
Certainly.
Had a few turn up when Cal was giving pillion rides a few years ago. And I think it's about encouraging European fans to make us the road trip of choice. A lot of Brits go to Assen. Assen's a fantastic road trip. It's a few years since I've done that one because it's always a bit close to F1 for me these days. But I really enjoyed strapping my kit onto the back of my bike and whizzing off to French Grand Prix just in May. That's a road trip on a bike is what it's about. We've got to get those people to come here. And final thing is that we do need that home hero. And I'm crossing everything that Jake Dixon gets the break he deserves and makes it into the Premier class for next season. It's been work in progress for some years now. These things don't come together overnight. There's a plan that needs to be operated against, and the results have got to flow. But winning last time out in Assen for Jake, hugely important. And we need a Brit in the top class. Any promoter in any sport will tell you a home hero makes a hell of a difference. But actually, Jake's got something special about him. He's got a little bit of magic dust. He's got that star quality that I think you need. He's very personable. He's media friendly. He's a good-looking lad. He's got a beautiful wife. They're a glamorous couple. He's articulate. He's engaging. Got that little bit of rock star about them. So, let's try and help him just over the line and into that top class, because I think a lot of people could really aspire to the what Jake Dixon will show the world of MotoGP to be.
I fully agree with that, and hopefully next season we can have that. Is it something that frustrates you with the lack of eyes on the sport that's not behind a paywall, where it used to be free to everybody. The casual viewers that maybe would come along for maybe a Saturday or a Friday just to experience it. Is there sort of a little bit of frustration with the setup from that media perspective?
Not so much that I'm going to sit here and criticise them. It's the realities of the commercial world. You look at all sports, and hasn't killed cricket, and it hasn't killed the Premier League, has it? It is the way of the world. But I do think that the rights holder, the championship, Dorna, MotoGP, they need to strike a balance. If Great Britain was an emerging market, Formula One would be on free-to-air, because you build audiences with visibility, and then you monetize them by taking advantage of the paywall. Excuse me. The challenge is that I think we are, because we're not progressing. Did you know, Dave, that if you're not moving forward, you're standing still? I think it was your girlfriend that told me that.
It was. If you do what you always did, you get what you've always got.
Look, we're not regressing, but we're not moving forward with this sport, or certainly not in this country at the moment. So we need to do that. And I have these conversations with Dorna a lot. They get it, they understand it. They're doing very positive things to try and turn that around. I think the appointment of a new chief operating officer who's come from an American sports background and has built brands in America, sports brands in America, is very, 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 very positive. That's exactly what's needed. So I wholeheartedly support that. But we all just got to, criticising doesn't get us anywhere. No. I just think it's a case of we just got to get our heads down and work harder.
One thing that I enjoy is that you are a fan of motorcycling. And I think that the passion that I know you're a fan of motorsport generally, but as a motorcyclist, and have been to Assen and been to MotoGP previously before this post, and as a fan of the sport, to drive that passion, we're all passionate about motorcycle racing. That's why we're here. It's an amazing sport, and the more people that get to see that, the better. And I think it's testament to what you're doing here that the weekend coming up for MotoGP is potentially going to be the best one we've had so far under your tenure here at Silverstone.
Well, I hope so. I mean, number one, we need a break with the weather, don't we? Who'd organise outdoor events in the UK, particularly when it's two wheels? I have to say we've made strides forward with getting people to commit earlier and book their tickets, but fundamentally, the good British biker, there'll always be a high proportion of us who'll open the curtains and take a look and take a view on the day, and I'm guilty of that as well. So, I get that. Some of the best weekends I've ever had have been with my mates, strapping the tent on the back and going off to a bike meeting and just watching great sport, heroic. It's one of the great gladiatorial sports, isn't it? It's these guys just defy description, the stuff that they're able to do with a motorcycle. If you ride a bike and you get that sort of what was all going on there, and I'm a bit nervous, you think, goodness me, how on earth do they do that lap in, lap out, that bike control, that skill? I marvel at it, but I would still contend that going to a motorcycle race is a fantastic way to spend a weekend, and actually young people, it isn't an old man's sport. I know that the motorcycle demographic is aging, but if you introduce younger people to it, then they get it, and it doesn't just have to be that your dad's into it, although that helps. But actually, it's a great family day out. I think our pricing policy for children is really important. Under 16s half price, under 11s for free. It means that even at this sort of part of the economic cycle, it makes it pretty affordable for most families. It's I hear the messages when people say, oh well, in France you can park your car for free, or in France the camping's for free. Well, yeah, it is, but they've got a load of land around the side. We don't have that. We have to rent it off farmers, or it's privately run by local landowners and things. We're working hard. We have driven the cost of car parking down, and we work with the campsite operators to make sure that it's sensibly priced. But I think we've got to get people involved. We've got to get families along. We've got to start them younger. We've got to encourage guys to go out and make this their road trip. And once people see it with their own eyes, they often come back, or they seldom don't come back. Actually,
one thing I would like to touch on, if you don't mind, is the parking side of it. To explain to people, to our listeners and to our viewers, that it's not Silverstone that's setting the prices, because I think there's a lot of negative press comes prior and post weekend. Silverstone are charging this, Silverstone are charging that, but you don't control.
Well, we do set the pricing for
you do.
Yeah, so we rent the land off local landowners, but there is a cost. There's a lot of cost that goes with putting this event on, and we have to take a balanced view on how we recover that cost. The economics of promoting any sport are that the promoter takes the commercial risk and they sell tickets to recover that. There is a balance between volume and price, and you hope that you get it right. What we have sought to do this year is plough in more value into the ticket price, hence the seat, hence the enhanced music offering. We've reduced the cost of the parking. We haven't eliminated it completely, but we think that is a fair and balanced way of doing it. And we've worked with, and the campsites are the ones that are outside our direct control.
Okay.
For the most part, there's one that's under our direct control, or we're in a joint venture with. But there's a cost associated with putting those facilities in and running those operations. And I think everybody understands that. If you come to somewhere with decent facilities, of course, look, I hear all the time, well, I could fly to X, Y, and Z and I could get a week's holiday for the price of your ticket. Well, actually, I challenge you to do that for £110 for a weekend ticket with all the music included as well. And even the French Grand Prix, which is often held up as an example. Number one, there aren't very many Brits that go to it. It might be held up as an example, but it's not a compelling enough offer for people to want to go to that. And I made it my business to walk miles and miles around, just understanding the lie of the land and looking at the number plates. And there are not very many Brits that ride over to Le Mans to watch that. So it may be inclusive of some camping and some car parking for a price that's very similar to our 3-day ticket price. But that alone is not the thing that's making the difference. It has grown a local French audience. I accept that. And that audience grew pre-Fabio. So it's not just being driven by the home hero there, although I'm sure he's helped cement that loyalty and brings them back year on year. So I'm not suggesting that we couldn't learn a lesson about developing a local audience by that pricing, but I have to take a balanced view on how we make the sums add up. Fundamentally, we've got a very significant 7-figure fee to pay to Dorna for the championship to come here, and we've got to make the sums add up, and we've got to pay enough for the lecky bill and put food on the table. So it's a balance. I think this year represents really good value, really good, not just fair value. I think it's really good value. And I would encourage people to come and give it a go.
Thank you. I appreciate you answering that, because that tends to be the overwhelming question around MotoGP. So I appreciate you answering that for us and giving the listeners and the viewers an idea of how that comes about. It's not just a figure plucked from thin air, but it involves the whole weekend as well. What we have for MotoGP this year, I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to the weekend.
Look, it really does. And I make no apology for us trying to keep the lights on here at Silverstone. Silverstone very nearly went pop a few years ago on the back of poorly priced Formula One contracts, which were very, very difficult. I mean, they just crippled the circuit. And this team have not worked this hard to save this place, only to go and repeat the same mistakes. We will be judged on our merits. We have to produce the value there for the fans. But it's important we talk about this. People often say to me, "Oh, but it's sport, it's not business." Right? Hello, how do you think this works? Marc Marquez is not riding for free. Would Marc Marquez put his life on the line for free? No. Would Dorna come to this country if we were not making it worth their while? No, they wouldn't. So it is sport, but it's the business of sport that has to make sense. And I see no point in trying to hide that from our fan base, our customer base, the great British public. It's important that everybody understands. We've got to make this work. But I've got to also convince people to come and then demonstrate that it was a great decision to come with a great weekend's entertainment. And I take that challenge on, and I'm determined to prove it for people in 2023.
I appreciate your honesty and appreciate the transparency, Stuart. Thank you for answering that. One final question. Who's going to win the big race?
Oh, my word. Well, you'd struggle to bet against Ducati, wouldn't you, at the moment? I mean, a Ducati.
A Ducati.
And it seems to be this sort of circuit that's, they're doing pretty well on. Ducati UK's headquarters is here at Silverstone. Yes. It's not quite the same as, racing in your own back garden in Italy, but it's, look, I don't know. I'd love to see a change. I think the Aprilia coming on song is quite exciting, but who knows? So there we are. I haven't answered your question at all. It's sport. I don't know.
Thank you. Excellent. That would be my choice. Anybody who watches and listens to the show know I'm a big Pecco fan. But we've had the history here with Maverick Vinales on the Suzuki. So who's to say he couldn't do it? And he was strong last year as well. So it's absolutely. The Aprilia works well here.
Goodness me. Yeah, he knows his way around. He really does know his way around. No, it's exciting. And, there is consistency in the championship. Some of those boys have been around a while now, haven't they? And it's got a nice feel to it, the balance of new riders and old riders. We don't want Ducati to dominate, so a different winner would be good. No sport wants domination.
No.
The only time that's been good for us is when Lewis Hamilton having a Brit dominating the British Grand Prix. That was quite helpful.
That's always useful, isn't it?
Didn't help us when Schumacher was dominating in a Ferrari. But no, look, Ducati dominating would not be great for the sport. So I think let's go for Vinales. There we are. Good answer.
We'll go for an Aprilia and Maverick Vinales. Stuart, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for inviting us down. We wish you all the very best with the MotoGP weekend.
Thank you, Dave.
We look forward to coming down, and hopefully we can do this again maybe later in the year and have a look back on the weekend and see how it went. If we could just bookend the chat.
Absolutely love to. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm really very appreciative of the support you give us. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Stuart. Cheers.